Valley. Welcome to our podcast, Your Home in the AV, where we educate the community on real estate buying, selling, and investing. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Carlos was going to give us a real brief update.
Good morning, George. How are you today?
I am fantastic, Carlos.
Excellent,
How are you?
Excellent. I'm doing excellent. So basically, for fixed FHA, it went up a little bit. It's 6.34. For 15 years, it's 5.84. And then we have the ARM 7 and 6 at 6.04. Those ones are pretty good interest rate. Conventional, it went down a little bit. It's 6.22 today. And for 15 years, it's 5.50. So those are really good interest. Also, just to give updates of what's happening up there, we are hiring a new agent. He's finished up signing up. So that will be number 16 in California. So we continue growing. Everything is going pretty smooth for our company. We're just hoping that this grow. We also hire a recruiter just for California because all the other states are doing okay, but they are concentrating with energy to grow California. California has a lot of potential for us to grow, and that's why they hired this recruiter that she's going to dedicate herself to recruit. That's it. That's all that she's going to do. She's not going to be an agent. She's not going to be anything else, but nothing but recruiter. The only thing is that she cannot come from San Fernando this way because that's my area.
Awesome. So Energy is the new hot real estate company out here. They have great packages for new agents. So if you're thinking about changing, give us a ring. We'll be happy to talk to you about it.
That's right.
So today we have a special guest who I've known for a while, and we were actually board members for Palmdale High School baseball team, right? Her name is Stacy Fournier, and she is with Old Republic Home Warranty. How you doing, Stacy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good to be here.
So, Stacy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. So I was born and raised here in the Antelope Valley. So I am a Palmdalian. I'll call myself a Palmdalian. I always lived in Palmdale. I have 2 kids, 21 and 27. And yes, the Palmdale High baseball boosters. So I miss it, actually. I miss baseball. My son was in baseball since he was 4, and now he's 21. So I don't get to go to his games anymore, but I have to wait for grandkids for that.
I'm thinking about starting to volunteer coaching baseball again. I think, I miss it as well. And the other day I was driving home from an open house that I had, and I seen that they were playing baseball at a park. I just stopped to go watch them. And, if I seen any kids that needed pointers, I was going to give them pointers. But I didn't want to intrude at the end. When I got there towards the end of the game, they were already slapping hands and stuff like that. But, I miss it terribly. I desperately want to go back. I've been doing it for 20 years. So
that's great.
Yeah,
so,
it is fun.
So Stacy, home warranty.
Yes, I love home warranty. So yes, let's talk. Let's talk home warranty.
So what does home warranty do for the buyer or the seller?
So budget protection, right? So for the buyer, definitely it's a home service contract. So they'll have a year of coverage just to start off with, right? Normal wear and use failures. So it's going to cover major systems and appliances. And for the seller, it's great where something happens after the close of escrow and something fails, right? Who are they going to call? The buyers are going to call their agent. They're going to call the seller and say, hey, you sold me this house. Maybe you knew it was, going to break soon or whatnot. So it's really a protection for the seller also for that buyer to have that home warranty, because then they can utilize the home warranty instead of trying to go back to the seller and say, hey, fix this, right? So it's good for both the buyer and the seller and the agents too. Helps to keep them out of court.
So it's kind of like an insurance policy for the seller So how easy is it to use?
It's very easy to use. Like I said, normal wear and use failures. Um, it goes into effect the day escrow closes. It has to work at least one time correctly for that new buyer. And then it's literally they can place a service request online. They can call into our service line. We set them up with a work order and a technician. They make an appointment and they come out and do the diagnosis and repair or replacement. So it's very, very easy.
So you said repair or replacement. So they initially try to repair it. If not, then they would replace it with the brand new unit.
Yeah. So of course they're going to diagnose it and they're going to see if it's fixable, right? If we can get parts still, depending on the age, sometimes parts are obsolete. Sometimes the parts exceed the amount, right, that we would be paying to replace it. So we're going to look at repair options. If not, then yes, we do replace it with a new unit. And it goes by features, functionality, and the really just kind of like a similar unit to what they have currently. And then we give them options, and then they would go forward with replacing it.
You know, I'm going to make some comments about that and correct me, Tracy, if I'm wrong. But, you know, one of the things that a lot of the agents don't understand is when they get their normal home warranty, that's not covering the roof. So a lot of times you have to add for a roof, also for septic, right? Those are extra stuff that you should be able to do it. One of the things that I do as a listing agent is if my seller is only willing to pay a certain amount of money, they will only cover the basic. I always tell the buyer, hey, you know what? It's good for you to invest a little more money to cover that roof and to cover the septic. I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but also, you know, we had the inspection last week and the week before for the termite and also for the home inspection. For what I understand is the home warranty would not cover if it was not inspected, because how do we know that was working? So that's right.
Right. So starting off with talking about optional coverages. So we do have packages, right? And then we have a lot of optional coverages. So for a buyer's agent, you can really customize the home warranty for the house needs, right? Because we have, and you can just get a basic package, right, for a track home. Then we have optional coverages like pool spa, the well pump, the septic system, even water filtration, fountains, so many different things to, like I said, customize the home warranty for that home. So as far as an inspection, so we don't require an inspection, but what we do require is for the things that we're covering to be in good working order.
Okay.
Right? So if they're not, then of course, if they call into our service line and the buyer says, oh, hey, I just moved in, right? And the first time I used the dishwasher, it doesn't work. And maybe they didn't have an inspection or whatnot. So those type of things wouldn't be covered from the home warranty, right? Because they weren't already in good working order when our policy took effect. Okay. So no, we don't require it. Of course, you know, as working as a buyer's agent, you normally would definitely want to do an inspection and make sure that those things are covered at good working order for your clients. But, you know, we don't require an inspection.
So I didn't hear you mention anything about the roof. Does a home warranty also cover the roof?
Yeah, so we do have roof coverage. It's called limited roof leak repair. Yes. We
Awesome.
have that covered.
Okay.
That you can add on also.
So what would you say to the buyers out there who are looking to buy a home? What type of package should they be looking at?
Yeah, so really it depends. I always say the house. You know, we have the basic, which, you know, I never recommend because, of course, you want to get like our mid package or our higher package because it's going to cover more things as far as if we're going to do a replacement. So it's going to cover things like Holloway, permit, you know, some code upgrades, that type of stuff. There's so much, but definitely, you know, we have a coverage brochure and, you know, I always say, you know, look at the different packages and see what's going to meet your needs and your budget, right? Because sometimes when you're in a contract and you have an RPA and there's been negotiations, the seller will pay only a certain amount and then the buyer would have to pay the rest or, so I would say, see what's within your budget. But just think of the future, though, right? Because are you going to have, especially if they don't get the home warranty, are they going to have the money to, replace a water heater or a dishwasher or, the HVAC unit? So I think it's really important to check out the different coverages. And if the seller's only going to pay up to a certain amount of money, the buyer can always pay the difference in escrow. And if that doesn't happen, the buyer always can upgrade after the close of escrow. They have 60 days and they can add on coverage or they can upgrade their package. So even if it's not done through escrow, it's not the end all. They can always do that.
So typically the buyer usually asks the seller to pay for home warranty, right?
Typically, yes.
And it's typically for a year. What happens after the year? Is the buyer able to renew that policy?
Yeah, so we do send out renewal options, normally 60 to 30 days prior to the expiration. And the good thing is we offer payment plans on renewals. So that sometimes can help make it more affordable for the buyer to keep the coverage. So sometimes, if the buyers don't use it, they don't find value in it, right? Because they're like, oh, it didn't really do anything for me. A lot of times the people that have used it see the value in it and opt to renew it.
Okay. So out here in the AV gets hot, gets cold. What is the most calls that you get for homes?
I mean, for sure, plumbing year round, it's always plumbing, right? Stoppages and leaks, water heaters. So plumbing. And then, of course, we have our surge, because it gets 100 or even hot, hotter here in the AV. So definitely the AC would probably, the HVACs would be next.
So do you get calls for pipes exploding because of how cold it is?
I mean, yeah, we definitely get that in the freezing times in winter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what would be a key thing for a buyer when they're looking at a home warranty to decide on?
I just think really, what does the house need? Okay. So looking at the house and then picking the plan, like I said, you can customize it, but looking at the major systems. So water heater, the HVAC, what does it look like? How old are they? Does it look like they're going to die soon? Or do they look like the sellers replaced it in the last couple of years? That I think determines how much really more coverage that you want to maybe have, either the middle plan or the higher plan. If the units are older, I would always try to go with the higher plan because it has that extra money in to help with out-of-pocket expenses if we are going to replace one of those units. So I would say look at the age of the units that are in the home and then go from there.
So how long is the process? Say my water heater busted and I had a home warranty. I called you. How long is it from the time I call you to the time it's fixed?
So when one of our clients places a service request, it goes to our dispatch and then it's assigned a company, right? So that company, when they sign up with us, they are saying, okay, we are going to reach out to your client 24 to 48 hours to make an appointment. Okay. But when we do assign that technician, we send out an email to them saying, this is a technician that is assigned to your work order. Okay. So they can always call them right away and get their next appointment. They don't have to wait for that technician to call them. Okay. So then it really just depends on the time frame as when your client's available and the technician is available. So if parts are not needed to be ordered and they're parts on hand, I mean, they could fix it same day, right? In the summertime, if parts are on back order that's kind of out of our control.
Right.
So we don't really have a time frame, but water heaters, super easy fix. They can be fixed the same day. Normally any plumbing issues, things like that. So it's normally a pretty quick process, I would say.
So it seems like, if you are buying a home, make sure you get the home warranty just to be, have a peace of mind when you're going at least through that first year. It's like buying a car. You buy a used car. You want some kind of assurances that 3, 4, 5 months down the road, it doesn't break down. right? And it was working when you got it, but it breaks down after a while.
And you just
true.
touched two things that really happen all the time. One is a peace of mind that you're gonna get by having the home warranty, but two is also the for whatever reason, with my years of experience, 27 years, after the people move in, even that I did the home inspection, everything was working perfectly. 3 months, 4 months, 6 months later, something breaks down. And like Tracy say, the most important thing is the water heater, the air condition, the roof, the mirror stuff they have in there to be covered completely. And that way they have that peace of mind anytime that they go to bed. I also recommend for those people they are not handyman, so they don't know much about construction, to continue with the home warranty after that because it's not that expensive and it's something that can keep it going, for a long time, hoping that nothing will happen. But if it does, they have the home warranty that they can use.
Yeah, and I always say, I mean, if they're going to replace a dishwasher, they should have just had the home warranty, right? Because it's going to run probably around the same. And then we could have replaced it, and then they would have had a whole lot of other coverage for everything else in the home, right? So, and any homeowner can get a home warranty. Okay, so it doesn't just have to be somebody going through a real estate transaction. So any homeowner can get it at any time. So, beneficial for everybody.
So there's two things. One, I want to make a comment. So it's peace of mind for both the buyer and the seller. The buyer, because they go to bed resting easy, knowing that their house is covered, and the seller is released of liability because if there's anything that breaks down, the home warranty should be able to cover it, so the seller doesn't have to worry about any retribution from the buyer.
That's right. That's right. Well, you know what? One of the things they, like she said, these are good for sellers, even if they're not in escrow or anything like that. But it's also good for the investors that have rental properties because in that way they can put it into all those rentals properties that they own. I have a few couple of rentals, and it's a headache and a pain in the where when they're calling you that this breakdown, that breakdown. And it's money that's coming up a lot. Right now we're doing some work at one of my duplex in California City, and cheapers is going to cost me $7,500. To do some work in there. So the home warranty comes in place to help the sellers, the buyers, and also the investors that have rental properties.
So I remember my question. So you had mentioned that a homeowner can buy the home warranty anytime they want. Is there an inspection or anything that has to be done if they were to buy it on their own?
So there's not an inspection, but there is a 30-day wait after it is ordered and paid for before it becomes effective. And that just keeps everybody honest, right? And because we're not going to do an inspection. So they're basically telling us that the items that we are supposed to cover, right, are in good working order. So 30 days after payment date, it'll go into effect for them to utilize.
Awesome. You know what, Stacy, I want to thank you today for joining us. It was a lot of great information. Also wanted to thank Old Republic and Energy Realty for the sponsorship today. They are making this happen. This podcast, I hope, is educating the community on real estate. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. Please like, follow, and share also our podcast. If you have any questions, please write them down or put them on any comments, and we will answer them on our next episode. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, George.
Thanks.
Very
Thanks
quick.
for having me.
Very quick, George. We forgot to say Happy Veterans Day last week to all the men and women that serve. So happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day. I do have a son in the service. So, yes, happy Veterans Day. Thank you, everyone, for servicing. You too, Carlos. Thank you for servicing.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that's your show. Again, please like, follow, and share. This is Your Home in the AV with George Mercado and Carlos Pais.